Hello friends, welcome to Shiksharthi. In this video, we'll be solving questions of exercise 5.3 on arithmetic progression. So let us start. Now, talking about question number 16. So question number 16 says that there is a sum of 700 rupees which is used to give 7 cash prizes in such a way that the cost of each prize is 20 rupees less than its preceding price. I mean, what it intends to say is, let us say, if I say that one prize costs rupees 100, in that case the second prize, the cost of the second prize should be how much? You subtract another 20 rupees from here and that makes it 80 rupees. The third prize here becomes how much? 60 rupees. So now there are 7 prizes altogether and these are the two formulas that we'll be using throughout. Okay, so can I say that the value of n decides the number of prizes here, which is 7, and the sum of these 7 terms is equal to 700 rupees, such that the common difference here is minus 20. Now we could have taken minus 20 rupees, but once we are able to get the final answer, then we'll use the unit. Okay, so now, and what are we supposed to find out? Let us first find out the sum for, the first term of this series. So when we are finding out the first term of the series, I can say that the sum of 7 terms is equal to n by 2, which is 7 by 2, times of t1 plus tn. So from here you will be able to say, now t1 plus tn, t1 plus tn, from here you will say is how much? 200. Meaning thereby, so now t1 plus tn, instead of tn, let me write it as t7. So t1 plus t7 is equal to 200, t2 plus t6 will be equal to 700, and so on. Because I hope you are aware of the fact that when I write an arithmetic series, the first term plus the last term is equal to the second term plus the second last term is equal to the third term plus the third last term, and then so on, like this. Okay, that is okay. But then we need to find out the exact value of the first term, for which we will be using this formula, which is just like saying t7 is equal to t1 plus n minus 1, which is 6, into minus 20. Meaning thereby, now let us say this is equation 1 and this is equation 2. So from 1, if I subtract equation 2, now this can be further written as t7 minus t1 is equal to these many rupees. So from this equation, from the first equation, if I subtract second equation, what am I supposed to get? I'll be getting, so when I'm subtracting, I'll be getting twice of t1, which is equal to, now this is 200 minus of minus 120, which makes it 320. So in this case, the value of t1 is rupees now 160. As discussed, we discussed that we'll be putting the unit finally. So now t1 is equal to rupees 160. The value of the second prize will be 40 rupees lesser. The value of the third prize will be 20 rupees lesser. The value of the fourth prize will be another 20 rupees lesser, and so on. The best thing to check the answer here is, okay, now once we have written this, so let's see, have we done it correctly or not? So 60, say 160, 140, 120, this had to be 100. Now when this is 100, this becomes 80, this becomes 60, and finally the value of the 7th prize becomes 40. And from where did I get that my answer is incorrect? Because I know that the first term plus the 7th term should make it to be a 200. So 160 plus 40, 200, 140 plus 60, 200, 120 plus 80, 200, right? And then you get the middle term, which is 200 divided by 2, which is 100. Okay, moving on to the next question, which is question number 17. So despite the fact that it looks to be a word problem, but ideally it is not a word problem. And if I talk about anything in mathematics, it can be given to you only in a number, WNP format. You'll be having either a word problem, which is word along with a number. You'll be having a, let's say a picture along with a number. in mathematics. So you should always be ready for such kind of questions to be given to you in mathematics. Or a final format here could be a WNP format, word, number and picture format. So as of now, if I talk about any question that you have done till question number 15, which format is it? It is a word and number format only. And this question is just like a word, let's say words, too many words format, which is nothing but the same. Okay. Question number 17 says, in a school, students thought of planting trees in and around the school to reduce air pollution. It was decided that the number of trees that each section of the class will plant will be the same as the class in which they are standing. For example, class 1 will plant 1 tree, class 2 will plant 2 trees. So let us say the ordinal becomes the cardinal. I mean the first, second, third, they are the ordinals. And first, the cardinal for the first is 1. The cardinal for the terminology second is 2. Okay. So it says there are 3 sections of each class. How many trees will be planted by the students altogether? So you know that how many classes are we going to consider here now? Do we know the count of class that we are going to consider? No. But we do know that let's say class 1 will plant 1 tree, a section of class 2 will plant 2 trees, and so on till class 12. Okay. So how many class altogether are we having? We are having 12 classes, let's say 12 standards or 12 grades, and each grade is having 3 further divisions. So now if I say grade 1, how many trees? Grade 1. So let's say the first grade. First, how many trees would be planted? 3. Why 3? Because 3 into 1. Second grade, how many trees would be planted? 3 into 2. Similarly for the 12th grade, 12th, how many trees would be planted? 3 into 12. Now what are we saying? We are supposed to add up all of these, and when we add all of these, can I take 3 as common from here? Yes. And then 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on, the last term here becomes a 12. Here I can simply use the formula this, or I can use this formula. Sum of n terms is equal to n by 2 of the first term plus the last term. So this is just like saying 3 times of, now how many terms do we have here? We have 12 terms. So let's say 3 times of 12 by 2 times of first term plus the last term, which is 13. So it's just like saying 13 into 18. How much is 13 into 18? We'll just find it out in few minutes. So 13 into 8 is 104 plus another 13, which makes it as 234. So how many trees have been planted in total? 234 trees have been planted. So let's move on to question number 18. Now when we are talking about question number 18, it says a spiral is made of successive semicircles with centers alternately at A and B, starting with the center A, which is of 0.5 centimeter radii, then 1 centimeter, 1.5 centimeter as shown in the figure 5.4. What is the length of the spiral made up of 13 consecutive semicircles? So you are supposed to find out the length of the spirals here. Okay, let's see how to find it out. So the figure that we are supposed to use here is, say this is the so-called figure that you are supposed to use. And when I say the so-called figure, that means I am using this word consciously. So this is the first semicircle that you would have formed. So the length of the spiral, this is the second semicircle that we are forming. So we are talking about, let us say if this is A. So A to B is my first semicircle. Let's say this is C. This is my second semicircle. Let's say this is D. This is my, so AB is my first semicircle. AC is my second semicircle. Now if I talk about the third semicircle, here would be C, and let's say this is E. And then so on. So the next semicircle would be D, let's say, followed by F. And then they have given you the radiuses of all these semicircles. So let's say 0.5 centimeter followed by a 1 centimeter, followed by a 1.5 centimeter, and so on. Now when you are finding out the lengths of these spirals, that means we are talking about the curved length, and the curved length is nothing but the circumference, and here we are talking about half of the circumference. So we know that the circumference of a semicircle, is half of 2 pi r, which is just like saying pi r. So taking pi as common here and then adding up the radiuses, all the radiuses, which is just like saying 0.5 plus 1 plus 1.5 and so on till, have they given you the total count of circles here? Let us see the question once again. So is made up of successive semicircles with centers alternately at A and B. Okay, forget about this A because this is something we have taken it as a different. So because here if I take A, the A point would be here as per them, but here let's say I am taking this as A dash, and the center of the next circle, let's say, which is A dash C, is A, is what we are taking. What is total length of the spiral made of 13 such consecutive circles? Okay, fair enough. So have they given you the value of n here? Yes, they say that this is 13. So let me use the sum formula which says, now pi is common here, into n by 2, n here is 13, times of 2a, which is 1, plus n minus 1, which is 12, into d. Now what is the value of d here? 0.5. So here, can I say this is 13 pi by 2 into, how much is 12 into 0.5? 6. 6 plus 1, 7. Okay. Now using the value of, we are considering that, let's say that the value of pi is 22 by 7. We are using this value here. So can we say that the sum of the such spirals made of 13 consecutive circles, and we are talking about semi-spirals, will be 22 by 7 into 13 by 2 into 7. So which is just like saying 143 centimeter should be the answer. Okay, talking about question number 19. Okay, now question number 19 says, there are 200 logs are stacked in the following manner. 20 logs are in the bottom row, followed by 19, followed by 18, and so on. In how many rows are 200 logs placed? There are 200 logs stacked in the following manner. So referring to the diagram here, I am not drawing the diagram here, then you are supposed to find out what? There are logs which are piled up on one on the other, and it says that 20 logs are in the bottom row, followed by 19 in the next row, followed by 18 in the next row, and so on. In how many rows are 200 logs placed? And how many logs are there in the top row? Okay. Okay, let's understand it like this now. So even if I have to draw a diagram, I'll draw it slightly in a different manner. So it says 20, so let's say 20 of them first. So let's assume these are 20. Then 20 followed by how many? 20 followed by 19. Then followed by how many? Followed by 18. And this is how it goes on. And then how many logs in the topmost row? So we do not even know how many rows. Do we know the value of n here? No. Do we know the sum of all these logs? Yes, we know the sum of all these logs as 200 logs. So this is just figurative. I mean, you will not say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are only 5 logs. Please try and understand, there are some logs in the bottommost row, and the number of logs are 20 in the row which is just above this row. So let's talk about, this is my first row. Let's say this is my second row, third row. So here now I am talking about the count of the rows. And similarly, let's say the nth row. So in the nth row, when I add up all the logs here in the nth row, the value of n we do not know. The sum of all n would be 200 terms. Okay. So what is the common difference here? The common difference here is -1. Does it say 19 rows, 19 logs in the second? Yes. Okay. So can I use this formula? I can. So 200 is equal to n by 2 times of 2a. 2a means a here is 20. The first term here is 20. So 40 plus n, which we don't know, n minus 1 into minus 1. Okay. So now when I solve this, I get 400 is equal to how much? Is equal to n times of, now how much is this? 40 plus 1 minus n, which can be further written as, so if I make a quadratic equation out of this, can I say n square? Now n square, this becomes 41 minus n. Let's write it as, this is n times of 41 minus n. So n square minus 41n plus 400 is equal to a 0. So using the concept of roots here, so the value here is, now this is minus b. So 41 minus b minus b square minus 4ac. So how much is 41 square? 41 square is just like saying a 40 square, which is 1600 plus 40 plus 41, which is 1681. So 1681 minus 1600 makes it 81. So you take the square root of 81 divided by 2. And the another value of n that you are going to take from here is 41 plus root of 81 divided by 2. So the value of n that I get from here is, this is 41 minus 9 is 32. 32 divided by 2 is 16. Or we get the value of n here as 25. Now the point here is which value to consider, and can we take both the values here? So for which, what you can do always is you can use the concept of the nth term. So now the 16th row should have how many logs? That is something that you need to find out. And the 25th row should have how many logs? So when I find out how many logs in the 16th row, this is just like saying t1 which is 20 plus n minus 1 which is 15 into minus 1. So this comes out to be 5. Now when I find it out for the 25th row, I'll use the same formula, which is just like saying 20 plus, now 25 minus 1 is 24 into minus 1. So I get the number of logs as negative, which is not possible, which is why we will not take the value of n as 25. So the number of rows here would be 16, and in the topmost row we'll be having how many logs? We'll be having 5 logs. So if I have 5 logs in the topmost row, which is the 16th row, in the 15th we'll be getting how many? We'll be getting 6 logs. In the 17th, so how are we going down and we're increasing the number? So let's come back again. In the 16th row we got 5 logs. In the 15th row we'll be getting 6 logs, right? Then, is this correct when I say 16th? In the 16th row we got 5 logs. In the 15th row we get 6 logs, and this is how we work it out for the other rows as well. Okay, talking about the last question here, and we are talking about question number 20. So question number 20 says, in a potato race, a bucket is placed at the starting point, which is 5 meters from the first potato, okay, and the other potatoes are placed 3 meters apart in a straight line, okay. There are 10 potatoes in the line. And what do you need to calculate here? What is the total distance the competitor has to run? A competitor starts from the bucket, picks up the nearest potato and runs back with it, drops it in the second bucket and runs back to pick up the next potato. He keeps on doing this till the time he runs for the last potato. So you have to find out the total distance which this competitor would have run. Okay, so let's take this as the point for the bucket. Let's say this is my first potato, second potato, P2, P here refers to potato, third potato, and then you have, how many potatoes do you have? You have 10 potatoes, right? Okay. And let us say now, so if I have to talk about the distance, so from here to here the distance is 5 meters, from P1 to P2, or the distance between any P, which is either P1 to P2, successive P's is what we are talking about, any two successive P's will be 3 meters. That means the distance between P9 and P10 will also be 3 meters. So the first, so what is the total distance run? So the total distance run in the first case would be 5. You pick up the first and then you come back again. So can I say 5 plus 5, which is 10, which is just like saying the total distance. The first term here is 5 into 2 meters. Meters, we'll write it down separately, followed by then 5 plus 3. So when I say 5 plus 3, then 5 plus 3 twice of this. So which is just like saying 8 into 2, which is the next one. So 5 plus 3 plus 3, which is just like saying 6 plus 5, which is 11. And so on. Till the last, which will also be 2 into the last, let's say n. This is the total distance run, and we do not have the value of n here. So if I take 2 common from here, what is the total distance run? 5 plus 8 plus 11 and so on till the last distance that would have been done. This we need to find out. Okay, so if I have to find out what is the last distance run, so this signifies the first distance. So I have to find out the 10th term, which will be just like saying T1. So what is T1 here? So now I am talking about this series only, the series inside the bracket, because then accordingly I'll use the concept of multiplied it by 2 finally. So I am talking about the inside series. Find out the 10th term of this inside series, which is just like saying 5 plus n minus 1, which is 10 minus 1, 9 into 3. So this comes out to be a 9 into 3 is 27 plus 5 is 32. So now can I say the total distance run? The total distance run is twice of 5 plus 8 plus 11 and so on till 32. This is one way of doing it, or else I could have used the second formula. Anyway, so now this is just like saying twice of, how many terms do we have? We have 10 terms multiplied by the first, multiplied with the first term added to the last term. So which is the total distance run here is 370 meters. Correct? I hope all these questions, the way, we tried our best to give you the complete and the correct solution, and then in between we talked about how to approach this question as well. So that means we have been talking about the strategy along with the complete and a correct solution for the same. If you feel that this video is really important in terms of giving you some enlightenment on the word problems as they come to you, please do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. If you have already done so, click on the bell icon and select all so that you get regular updates from us. If you want us to do some videos on specific topics, do not hesitate and communicate it to us through any channel you wish to. Thank you so much. Until next we meet, goodbye.